Also had like people just wanting to be in investing, and you also saw super high interest rates.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Real Estate with the Premier Group. I have a special guest with us today. By the way, my name is Calvin Shropshire, broker and owner of the Premier Group, doing business as eXp Realty LLC. And we are welcoming Megan Huggins, owner and founder of Key Title and Escrow. I think you guys have an office here in Nashville, right?
Yes, we do currently.
Awesome. Well, she's going to be going over all things title. So Megan, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes. So like you said, I work at Key Title. I'm the title agent over there. And my background's not in real estate originally. I came from education. I was a teacher for 5 years, and that's where all my upper education's in. But we started getting into investment properties and flipping and doing some house hacking. And so right before this little boom that we had recently, my husband asked if I'd be interested in helping him and a business partner start up a title company. And I love learning. So I learned everything that needed to occur with that. And we opened up, and I never wanted to leave, I guess, because that's exactly where I still am.
Sometimes you just get sucked into it, right?
I think like you want to be, I'm one of these people who want to like master anything I do. And I felt like because Key was becoming so successful and so good, and I was so proud of it, I just wanted to keep growing it. And I am so proud of it. I'm so proud of everything that we offer. And so I'm slowly backing away now to work on some other projects, but for the most part, I'm still there day to day working on things.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we definitely love, the service you guys provide and the communication and everything else. So thank you so much. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. So you being at the title company, I think you get the advantage of being able to see, everything that's going on. For example, you get to see rates from all different types of lenders and things like that. Tell me in just a few words, what's your impression of the market? Do you think it's going to crash? Do you think it's going to level out? Has it leveled out? What do you think?
So this question became really popular right at the end of last year. And I think it's because we had a little slowdown within Chattanooga. That's where, these questions started coming from. Investors started asking us. And we definitely saw a slight slowdown. Actually, speaking with a realtor yesterday, she mentioned seasonality. We had a very cold season. And I didn't even think about that. I of course, credit it to the buyers and sellers not being on the same page quite yet. The sellers were still in this point that they were looking for $20,000 over asking, and the buyers were sensing the shift in the market. So they were coming in with a little bit more reasonable pricing that they were wanted to see. And of course, when that interest rate goes up, you see the house pricing go down. But I said this again this morning, I'm still waiting for this crash. I'm sure my staff would like to see a little bit less coming in, but it's realtors like your team, you guys are still out here. We're seeing a huge up right now. And I know your team, I'm sure, is seeing a lot of it. We're getting to see some of those contracts. Are you guys up in I don't know, do y'all call it sales or just contracts?
Up in sales, yeah. Yeah, we actually are. So we're seeing a lot of consistency throughout. We've actually seen a massive increase on our website, over 40% in web traffic. The nerd in me loves to look at all that stuff. Yeah. So, but it's stayed very consistent. I think what's happening is people are starting to realize that the market's leveled out, right? It's starting to get back to a normalized market prior to COVID. And what we got to experience during COVID was kind of just something to spoil us a little bit. It's probably the best way to say it. But speaking of that, because interest rates during the COVID period was down in the 2-3%. You being able to see all the interest rates, what type of rates are you seeing right now?
Yeah, so recently we've been closing. I pulled through some files. I definitely had some 5.5s. I saw some 6s. I even saw pulled an investor loan, and it was at 10%, which I know we look at those low interest rates, and that was a big thing during the pandemic. But we also had people just wanting to be in investing, and you also saw super high interest rates for private loans and things like that. So I think that that's not something that everyone got to see, as far as if you're not in title or lending, you might not be aware. And I think it's funny because you're kind of closing the gap where you're seeing more similar all across the board.
Mhm.
But, I looked at the 50-year average of interest rates, and the 50-year average is like a 7.5 to an 8. And so we're not, if you look at inflation, if you look at everything that's occurred over time, I mean, a 6, a 5.5, a 7, that's not crazy. That's just the average. But I do think you used the right word, spoiled. We got very spoiled. But I enjoy the climate we're in now much more. Not that it wasn't fun and exciting to see all of this, but I just see the buying opportunities for those first-time home buyers, those FHA loans, the VA loans, they actually have the possibility of being accepted. And I'm sure you're seeing that too on your side.
We're seeing a lot more flexibility in the offers and whatnot. So like sellers are more receptive to offering concessions and helping the buyer out a little bit more. So, and there's all kinds of incentives and programs out there. We interviewed Beth Curtis last week, and she talked about a 2-1 buy down program and down payment assistance programs and things like that. So we're seeing it seems to benefit everyone. Mm-hmm. Home prices aren't plummeting; they're just kind of leveling out. So yeah.
And I definitely think too, like, to speak to that, everyone, when we were closing at this time, everyone was bringing in cash. So when you're talking about like a first-time home buyer, people who maybe haven't purchased a home, they, in their mind, they think about this huge cash amount they're going to bring. And that's what we were seeing during the pandemic, because sellers weren't covering anything. People were doing $20,000 over appraisal, $20,000, just trying to make it work. So we saw a huge influx of that. I'm now seeing buyers come in and not bringing a penny, because there were concessions, because of lender credits, because of that 2-1, anything. And so like we are back to the time where you could come into closing and bring $5,000 instead of $50,000, which is what I was seeing.
What was it? Hey, we're going to waive appraisals. We're going to waive inspections. I'm going to give you an extra $20,000 asking, and here's my firstborn at the same time too.
Yes. So, and the only people who could afford that were the people who were either coming from other markets that just had huge money to spend. And so it is very, very nice to see the type of contracts we're getting now.
Absolutely. So let's jump into like the whole title, conversation. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of questions surrounding that. Most people probably don't even understand how title companies work. What is a title policy? I mean, what is a title policy?
Yeah, so I think that you're very right. So a lot of people don't know what title is. So you'll notice our name is Key Title and Escrow. Title and escrow are considered two different things, but in the states, Tennessee and the states that surround us, they're typically done together. You go to California and New York and things like that, they're separated. Oh. So escrow is everything about the financial part of it, the contract, how that is written. And then you have title, which is the research of the property. So when you're conveying, when you write these contracts, you're putting a parcel number, you're putting an address, and we're conveying the land. So title world is just the physical land that it sits on. And our job is to go back and search basically everything that's ever happened with this land from the moment that it was created. From Hamilton County, the first plat book that they said, this is lot number 1 to lot number now wherever we're at. So a lender once taught me, we were talking about title insurance, and she was discussing how, home insurance is from the moment that you buy the house forward. So if anything occurs to the house once you buy it, home insurance helps protect that. And title insurance is from the moment you purchased it backwards. So if there were mortgages on the property, if there were debts on those sellers, bankruptcies, all of that, it's our job to research and make sure everything is satisfied, so that when we are delivering you your title, your warranty deed, that you own it free and clear, and that you are confident in that there's nothing else owed. Like some people, like Carfax, like that you want to know what happened on the property. That's what title is. You get to know what happened on the property and make sure everything's good.
Carfax for your home. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Home facts.
Well, I love how you sum that up. Now, how many different types of title policies are there?
So there's a few different types. The two main overarching are, you have an owner's policy, which protects the buyer, and you have a lender's policy, which protects your lenders. Because it's not only as a homeowner do you want to know that you're safe. If you have a lender who's loaning money on it, they want to know they're safe and they're protected too. So when you have any kind of standard loan, they're going to require you to have a loan policy. The good news with that is we offer simultaneous rates, which means rates issued together, and your owner's policy is about $50. So it's very beneficial to do them together. But even within an owner's policy, you have an enhanced policy, you have like your standard policy, and there are different levels of protection within those. And you can always, of course, ask the title company about that. But also agents are a great resource. I know you and I get to talk about some fun horror stories about just the real estate world in general, but they always have some good conversations about why someone should use title insurance.
Right. And it's crazy. Now, I know there's something called an enhanced title policy as well, too, right? Can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so an enhanced policy protects a little bit more, and there's some resources that you can. Our website has a few things that you can go to, but also just even the national underwriters. So your big three are Fidelity, First American, and Stewart Title, and all of the title companies are just agents for these underwriters, and they have lots of resources as far as like what each one protects, and each one of those big companies, and there's more than that, they have an enhanced option, which just protects a little bit more. It's a little bit more research, a little bit more requirements on our end to be able to offer it.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. So let me ask you this. What do you guys think sets your title company apart from other title companies around town?
So I know when we were starting out, one of the biggest things is we were customer service was our big idea. It started with wanting to be a big service for investors. So investors have a certain pace they want to work out at, a certain communication. Basically, if they are going to send you an email at 2 a.m., if you're not responding by 9 a.m. the next morning, there's a concern. So you really had to step up that customer service. What started happening is that they got this experience. They started, of course, selling these flips, these rehabs, and we got to start moving into the retail side of more traditional purchases. And these agents got to see how Key Title operated, and they continue to bring their business back to us because our staff is incredible. So they are super responsive. They are on top of their files. They really try to make up for anything that you request. We will try to accommodate. If it's not moral, illegal, like I'm going to try. Your seller wants to sign at their house. Cool. I'll arrange a mobile notary for that. Your seller's in California. They're going on vacation. I will try we definitely try our hardest. We like to be the Chick-fil-A model. Like, even if it seems like we just have so much, 45 days, and all of this is going through your lender. We're communicating all of that. We're going to do it my pleasure, the best service we can offer. If we make a mistake, we're going to reach out and correct it. And I just think that the staff's customer service is what sets us apart.
I know my team brags about how amazing the communication is with you guys. It's funny because Macy's always like, can we please use Key Title? Can we please use Key Title? So that's one thing they talk about a lot about too. The other thing I wanted to bring up, my investors love you guys. And that's something I think that from my personal experience that sets you guys apart is the fact that you guys are very investor friendly. And I'm very, very knowledgeable as well too. I mean, honestly, you, your husband, and Kendra were part of the influence of me and my wife purchasing our Airbnb last year, right?
Yeah.
At the end of last year. So yeah, talk about that. I mean, how do you think you guys deal with investors, I guess, in the way that most title companies wouldn't know how to?
So when it comes to title insurance and title companies, there's a lot of this is the way it's always been. It's a very outdated industry as far as loan and title. Like, pandemic, while it did a lot of hard things, it forced innovation into this industry. And I think that us coming in during that time, we wanted to be at the front of it. We wanted remote signings. We wanted to offer anything we could. And I think that that's the biggest thing with investors is they have hard ass. They have really interesting things they want to do, and they were used to be they just got told no. So there's a level of decision making at the specific owner discretion that you can you can decide what you want to take on and what you don't. We are more risk tolerant at Key Title. So we are willing to take on more risk than some. And so you'll see that some title companies will just say, no, we can't do that. And us too, we have certain things we don't want to participate in. But if it's, not, again, if it's not illegal, just because someone's saying no, that doesn't mean it's not illegal. It's not going to happen. It just means you have to find that team that's willing to work with you and play your game. We just play the investor game really well. Because Justin is an investor. Of course, the other partner was an investor, and we just really got into that world of what does this mean? How can we do this? How can we make it work? And we will always try to find a solution for you.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll tell you this. This is funny. Remind me to show you the text message on this. But one of our investors we just started working with from Texas, it was funny because we were typing up an offer, and I usually ask them, like, hey, what type of company do you want to use? And so the one she wanted to use is out of Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not here. And I said, well, the seller we're running off from, just from the information I had, they were more of a kind of a hands-on. They don't really do the e-sign, digital sign stuff like that. And so she's like, well, let me call my girl real quick and I'll call you right back. And so she did. And she texted me. She's like, hey, I want to use Key Title and Escrow. I heard they were really good. I was like, yeah, they won't let you down. That's a good one. So I just want to see what they said before. Because obviously we recommend different people that we work with as well, but I was just curious to hear who they were going to bring up first, and they brought you guys up, so that's the one we ended up going with.
And I think that's important, is to find a team. Like, that's what title and real estate is finding the team that works well with you. And so we just happen to partner very well with those investors, and you know.
Yeah. So the other thing I want to ask you before we go, what do you think the consumers need to know about title companies and whatnot? What's something you think that we didn't bring up that might be important for them?
Well, I think that the biggest, the big picture thing, and you are very aware of this, is every contract, every sale, every purchase is different. Each buyer, each lender, everything. When you're looking at a transfer of property, it's so specific. It's like a snowflake. So a lot of the times you have people who want to close very quickly, which if in the right circumstances, we can create and make it happen. But there are a lot of things that are out of our control. Old mortgages on properties. You have, 80% of things that we are touching have things that we are having to cure off. We are having to address. Your lender might not be ready. You might still be in negotiations with fixing repairs. And I think that the biggest thing is the title company often gets blamed for the delays, but I want to be very clear, we do not make money unless you're sitting at our table. So I promise you, we want you at our table as much as you want to be there, but it is impossible for me to guarantee. And just like you can't guarantee a closing date. We can set an expectation, but I promise you, we want you to close as bad as you want to be closed. So I think, and that's all title companies, not just Key Title. Everyone wants you to be at that closing table. So if there is a delay, if there is something, reach out to an expert, a real estate agent, someone that is in the industry, and get some further explanation about what's going on. It's not just that. I can promise you want them to close. I want them to close. The lender wants them to close. So if there is some kind of speed bump you're running into, there's some explanation that needs to be told. So
absolutely. Well, Megan, how can people reach you and your company?
Yes. So the best way to reach us and place to send your contracts would be orders@keytitle.net. And that's orders plural with that S on the end at keytitle.net. And you can reach us by phone at 423-226. Nope. 423-206-2226. I threw too many twos in there. So again, that's 423-206-2226.
Awesome. Megan, thank you so much for joining us today, and looking forward to doing more business with you.
Absolutely. Thank you.